All right, well, good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Madeline Parker. I'm the Child Nutrition Programs Operations Manager for our office. And today we are going to be talking about the NSLP application process for this upcoming school year. And I will be recording this webinar and we'll get it posted on our YouTube channel within the next couple of days. And if you have any questions throughout this presentation, you can just go ahead and put them in the Q&A box. And if there is time at the end, we will answer some of those. And I did just want to say, if anybody has an AI feature or an AI note taker on, please go ahead and take that off. If we do see that pop up, we will remove you from the presentation. So for some main topics that we're going to go over today, so we're going to start with the steps prior to starting the application. So what needs to be done, with your MyNHDOE account, program authorization. We'll talk about navigating through MyNHDOE, that website. And then we'll go into some new updates for school year 25-26. And then we'll end with going through all the application attachments and what's required for that. And I did just want to go over some terminology that you will hear throughout this presentation. So I will be saying SFA or School Food Authority, Local Education Agency or LEA, District, and SAU. So USDA regulations specify that a school food authority must maintain a restricted nonprofit school food service account. And in New Hampshire, each district or LEA operates their own nonprofit school food service account, and that account is not held at the SAU level. So this is why you will be seeing the NSLP team saying SFA or LEA instead of SAU moving forward. And for the purpose of completing the NSLP application in MyNHDOE, I will be saying SAU and district in this presentation because in the system, that's what it will differentiate each of you as, your district and your SAU. So to complete the NSLP application in MyNHDOE, there are two important permissions that are required. So there's the application data entry and the application submit. The application data entry will be doing all of the initial entering of the application information. And then the application submit will review and submit to our office for that final approval. And just as a reminder, for this school year, these two different roles must be two different people. And they also must be both SFA or LEA employees. So if you do not have permissions in MyNHDOE yet, you will need to obtain those to be able to complete your application. So you want to start by creating an account in MyNHDOE. If you haven't done the application before and you are new, you might need to create your account. And then once you create your account, you can submit the program authorization form and we can get those permissions into you. We cannot create an account for you. That's just we are unable to do that. So if you have any issues creating your account, you will have to contact the MyNHDOE help desk. And just in case you weren't aware, if you did have permissions last year, those permissions are no longer there if you have not submitted an updated program authorization form. So just if you have any question about that, just reach out to our office and we can help. So we did make a lot of updates for this year. Most of our updates were done with the goal of making the application process much more streamlined. And this year we are also requiring much fewer attachments to hopefully make this process more efficient. As said, some items that we were requesting in the past can be looked at during an administrative review, not at the application process. And additionally, these instructions that I'm going over are for SFAs that are renewing their NSLP application for school year 26. So if your SFA was not participating in NSLP last year, please go ahead and contact our office as there will probably be more requirements that you'll need to complete. So first, when you get logged in, you want to make sure you toggle to FY26 in the top right corner, or you'll not be able to access the updated application. So when you first log in, it'll automatically populate to FY25. So you want to make sure you go in, click that drop down, and get to FY26. So for school year 26, the application will be done by district, not by the SAU. So if you are a multi-district SAU, you will need to select each district separately. So when you log in, the SAU will populate. And then if you are a multi-district SAU, you will have to select from the dropdown where the arrow is pointing and select the district that you want to complete first. So to start, we'll go over how to access the NSLP application sponsor page. And so for those who have not completed an NSLP application in My NHDOE before, there's a sponsor page application, a site app, and site applications. So there's one sponsor application for each district, and then each site applications will be a separate school. So to access the sponsor page application, below where you selected your district, the data entry will click on either the in process hyperlink or the not started hyperlink. It will say either in process or not started, depending on if the application has been open before. So let's say you haven't started it at all, it'll say not started, but if you started it and then come back to complete it, it will say that in process. And then when the data entry clicks on either of those hyperlinks, this will bring you to the sponsor page application. So we'll go more into the sponsor pages, and just to reiterate, there is one sponsor page per district this year. So on the sponsor page, the application data entry must complete all of the contact information, and nothing from last year rolled over as we updated our system, and we want to ensure that all the contact information is accurate and up to date. So the data entry must complete the operating information, starting, ending, and effective dates. So the starting and effective date will be the first day of school for school year 26, and that ending date will be the planned last day of school for school year 26. And then for site pages, there'll be one per school. And I just want to put a reminder in here when you are going between the sponsor and site applications, just make sure you're using that green back arrow. It'll be on each page. If you use the back arrow in your browser, it will probably log you out, which is just one thing to remember. So there are two spots to access the site applications in your NSLP application. So you can get there from the sponsor page. So the data entry will click on that site application hyperlink. And you can see that in the first screenshot. And then after the site applications have been initially created, you will be able to access the site application from that My NHDOE homepage after logging in as the application entry or submit. And you can see that in the second screenshot. So all site applications will need to be created this school year, as they also did not roll over from the previous school year. And so after clicking on the site application hyperlink within that sponsor page, the data entry will then click on new site application, which you can see in that top screenshot there. And this will navigate you to that bottom screen that you see, where you'll be able to select the site from the dropdown. And then this will need to be done for each site. So if you do notice that a site is missing from that dropdown, it might be new this year, please contact our office because we'll have to add it on the back end just to get it to show up in that background, that dropdown. So after selecting the site, make sure to complete all the fields within the site application. When the site is selected from the dropdown, the school information as the address and all of that stuff will populate up top. And what you can't see when you're editing is that the grades that are reported to NHDE, those will populate after you save. So the grades that that site is, so like K through 5, 9 through 12, that will populate after the site application is created. And then just some important reminders for the site pages. Don't complete the Seamless Summer option fields, even if you are operating the Seamless Summer option in summer 2025. And the grades on each site page must be the grades that the NSLP or SBP meals are made available to. So if there were any recent grade reconfigurations, you can reach out to our office with any questions. And if the site is not serving pre-K, but they are enrolled in the school, please also let our office know of this. Under meal charges, you want to enter the price that the school is charging for breakfast and lunch. For example, if the SFA is covering the cost of reduced lunch, you will put $0 for reduced lunch. You wouldn't put the price that you would charge, the 40 cents. And at the bottom of each site application where it says state only, this is something that the application reviewer will check off. So don't worry if the system will not let you check it off, because we've become aware that this is something that we will need to check off. And if you check off the after-school snack under meals approved to serve, just make sure that you are attaching the after-school snack program attachment, or we will return that application to you. And after you have completed each site application, just make sure you hit that save button or all of your work will be lost. And you might get some errors when you first save that site application. It will tell you how to resolve that error, but if you are having trouble or changing the information will make something incorrect, just reach out to our office and we can help you troubleshoot that. And also within the site pages, just remember to complete the site contacts on each one. So once the site page is created and it's completed and it's saved, the contacts hyperlink will appear and these fields can be completed. And if you have any questions on who should be assigned these roles within the site contacts, just let our office know and we can help you figure those out. And now we'll talk about the application attachments for this coming school year. And this is just a screenshot of the application checklist that we will be providing to all of you guys. So the application attachments are going to be done by district, not by SAU. And to access the attachments, you're going to navigate to the sponsor page of each district and select the attachments blue hyperlink at the top of the page. And that'll bring you to where you will be uploading all of the attachments. So again, here is where the application data entry will be uploading each completed attachment. So each attachment will have an appropriate drop-down option this year, and the drop-down will be the same exact name as the title of the attachment. And any attachment that is incorrectly labeled will result in the NSLP application being returned. So just make sure that that is double-checked before you submit anything. And you're going to click on Choose File to upload each attachment, and then select the appropriate attachment type, and then you'll hit Attach, and you'll see it. After you hit Attach, you'll see it populate below that it's been uploaded. So on this slide, you'll see all of the attachments that are required. As you can see, is a lot shorter than last year. So we combined the permanent agreement and free and reduced policy statement into one document. We'll still have the National School Lunch Program application attestation. Then the wellness policy and meal charge policy attestation will be one document. You'll have the free and reduced household income application attestation, and then the resource management attestation. So on the permanent agreement, the SFA is agreeing to administer the child nutrition programs in accordance with all federal regulations. And then also on that permanent agreement, the superintendent or equivalent can authorize additional staff as authorized signers on behalf of the district. So if the superintendent or the equivalent is out of the office, there is somebody else at the SFA that can sign some important documents. And again, if you have any questions on who should be included on this, you can reach out to our office, but it is an SFA or a local level decision on this. And then the NSLP application attestation, this will confirm that the SFA certifies that all information that has been submitted on the online application is true and correct. The wellness policy and meal charge policy attestation allows the SFA to certify that all schools under its jurisdiction that is participating in the NSLP are following the wellness and meal charge state and federal requirements. So we aren't requiring that you upload the policies to the application, but just keep in mind that you are attesting to following all the requirements, and these are reviewable items as part of an administrative review. And the free and reduced household income application attestation is for the SFA to certify that all federal application eligibility and certification requirements are being met. If the SFA is not using the prototype household income application that will be supplied by the state agency, then they would be required to attach a copy of the application that they are requesting to send to households. So you will need to get this approved by our office if you are not using our prototype application. So the SFA will attest to meeting all resource management requirements for paid lunch equity, non-program food, and procurement on the resource management attestation. And just a reminder, even though, again, the SFA is not required to submit the PLE tool or the non-program food revenue tool as part of the NSLP application, it's still required to be done every year. And this is something that we will look at during an administrative review. And if it's not followed correctly, it could be a finding. And then here are two additional application attachments that are required based on if the SFA would like to operate after school snack program or if the SFA is a residential child care institution. So if there are any schools within the SFA that are not participating in NSLP and want to apply for special milk, just please reach out to our office as this application will be done separately, which is slightly different from last year. And again, if applying to operate the after-school snack program, the application attachment must be uploaded with the NSLP application. So just make sure to include a detailed explanation of the education components, the example menu, and any program flyers or advertisements for the after-school program. And the materials listed on this slide are for SFA use only. So this means that they are not required to be uploaded to the application in My NHDOE. If they are uploaded, the application will be returned and the SFA will need to delete them from the application. So these materials will be posted on the NSLP application materials portion of our website very soon. We are just waiting on confirmation from USDA that nothing's going to be updated prior to July 1. So all of the other application materials are actually already uploaded as of right now. So they are on our website and the FY26 application has been rolled over. So once this is over, if you want to get started today, you can get started on your NSLP application. All right, so when you are ready to submit the application to our office for that review, the application data entry will need to send the application to the application submit for final review. So in step 1, you will see how to do this. So from the sponsor page, you will click on that in process hyperlink, and this will make the send to submitter box pop up, where the data entry will click yes, send to submitter, as you can see that's step number 1 up top. And then the application submit will then need to log in, as stated in the bottom there in step 2, and send the application to our team. And from the sponsor page, the submit will click on pending submission to DOE, that hyperlink, and then this will cause the send to NHDOE box to pop up. And the application submit will click submit to NHDOE for review or approval. And then when that hyperlink for the application says pending DOE approval, as you can see next to the star on the slide, that is when you know the application is fully submitted. So if the application is still saying pending submission to DOE, it's not fully submitted and that does not flag us to review it. So you just want to make sure that it says pending DOE approval, and then that will get put in our queue to review. So it will take our team 1 to 2 weeks at the longest to conduct the initial review of the application. And after we review it, an NSLP team member will reach out with any additional edits if that's needed, or if the SFA or LEA will receive confirmation that the application has been approved. So the applications can be approved by district, so it does not have to wait until each district is ready to approve if that applies to your SAU. And then just as a reminder, the SFA or the LEA cannot claim for any meals that are served prior to the NSLP application being in My NHDOE being fully approved by our office. And here's just the updated non-discrimination statement. And then that's all. If there's any questions, I'll stick around. I think there's some in the Q&A, so let me just slide over to those.